So coming into this week, we're seeing two teams that are coming off of very disappointing losses, trying to find their way throughout the rest of the season. And with that being the case, we got to break it down. You're listening to Money in the Bank. So coming into this game, both of these teams are coming off of disappointing losses. The Panthers lose a heartbreaker to Atlanta, and the Bengals lost in dominating fashion to the Cleveland Browns. So what's going on here? Obviously, Jamar Chase is out for the Cincinnati Bengals, and that plays a huge factor into why I feel that Carolina has a legitimate shot to get a win here in this game against Cincinnati. Not only that, but since Steve Wilson has taken over this team, I think we can all say with confidence that we feel that this is a actual football team. It feels like a professional organization again, and we have. I think, oddly enough, I think we all have trust, even in a 2-6 team led by PJ Walker. I have more trust in this group than I ever had under Matt Rule. So now that that's out of the way, let's get into the nitty gritty of this matter. What is missing from the Cincinnati offense with Jamar Chase being gone? The biggest part of what they do with Jamar Chase is not necessarily getting vertical down the field, because a lot of what Jamar Chase's game is centered around is what he can do after the catch. Doesn't have to be vertically down the field. It can be a screen pass. It can be slants. It can be out routes. It's whatever they can do to get Jamar Chase the football and to let him create. That's the biggest part of their offense. And what it does is it's sort of an extension of their run game, because of what he's able to do. And with that being the case, and now with that being gone, it's not that T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd aren't really good receivers. It's just that they can't set up the run without the factor of the short passing game being able to pick up 12 to 15 yards down the field sometimes, because of how great Jamar Chase's run after catch ability is. The reason why Jamar Chase is one of the best young receivers we have in this game and one of the best receivers in football overall is because of how explosive he is once he touches the ball. Guys like him, guys like Deebo Samuel, really thrive once they just get the ball in their hands. You don't have to do a whole lot of scheming around this right now. The only thing you really want to do is scheme to get the ball in his hands, scheme to put guys in front of him to block, and let the convoy carry this man down the field for a 20 to 30 yard gain. We see it every time with these two guys. I mean, they're guys that are home run hitters, similar to like a Percy Harvin and how he was back in his heyday. A home run hitter that can take it the distance at any point in time, as long as we set the blocks up for him. He's got the ability in space where one-on-one you're not taking him down. And with that being gone, that big play factor being gone, all right, that means now what? J.C. Horn will probably take on T. Higgins. I like that matchup. Size-wise, athleticism, I think I love that matchup every day of the week. And J.C. Horn, this is a matchup right here that he's got to win. We all would have loved that, seeing him and Jamar Chase go back and forth with it, but unfortunately, we didn't get that. And this is an opportunity now for Carolina to come into a game against a not Cleveland team, but a Cincinnati team that is banged up and that is missing a lot of what they do well. Now, the next thing on the list is, can your pass rush create something? Brian Burns is going to have to play a big factor in this game. Of course, we know that each and every week. That's not news. Now, who are the other guys? YGM, Marquise Haynes. Can you guys generate a pass rush to affect the quarterback? Marquise Haynes is a guy that he has applied pressure and he hasn't gotten home a lot, but I have seen him at least be able to alter the quarterback and dictate what he does in the pocket. YGM, Yatura Gross-Matos, I see him some this week against Atlanta. Well, this past week against Atlanta, that's got to be more consistent. That's got to be immediate impact as soon as the game starts. He's going to have to be able to provide you something. Now, a guy like Derrick Brown, who's having a great year and looking like a top 10 guy in his position, has to dominate in what he does. But again, it's the same thing with Brian Burns. Like, we know this. But I will say, who's more capable of dominating at that position this week? Definitely Derrick Brown. He's been that guy every week. Now, this is a game where we cannot afford for him to not be that force, because a team that's struggling to run the ball, a team that's going to have to rely more so on just the play design, and they're going to have to rely more so on the play design, the quarterback, and the quarterback connection with his receivers, more so than just the explosive playability of a guy like a Jamar Chase. They're going to have to rely on more so the connection that Burrow is going to have with Higgins and Boyd, and can he just distribute? This is going to be a game. These games now from here on out for Cincinnati without Jamar Chase are going to be a proving ground for Joe Burrow to prove that, hey, look, I can just deal it. I can deal the football out there to whoever, whenever I want to, and I don't have to have that in order to be great. I mean, we're seeing it with guys like a Patrick Mahomes, who's having to live life without Tyreek Hill. He's still able to distribute. This is the first time we've gotten an extensive look at Burrow without Chase since his rookie year. He didn't even finish that year. So that will be the biggest thing going into this game. Now, offensively for the Carolina Panthers, what do I think? Well, I think Chuba Hubbard being out for a second consecutive week is not great for Carolina. Even though Foreman had a great game last week, I still feel that there's parts of this offense that's missing because Hubbard is not there to be the guy to be able to break one off for a long game. I think he's very much capable of that. Spencer Brown, Blackshear, these two guys are very much replacement level running backs, and we're not getting. And I imagine we're just not going to get the production out of those guys. And if you have a week where Foreman isn't going to just go crazy for 3 touchdowns, but what do you have offensively? That's a big worry for me. Now, the bright side of this is that Terrace Marshall and PJ Walker have seemed to find a real connection that is starting to turn into something nice. We're starting to see him take over that wide receiver 2 role that Robbie Anderson left vacant, and he is taking it over immediately with a quickness. Now, I will say this: there's still more to be done by PJ Walker as far as distributing the football. Getting the ball to DJ Moore is great. Finding Terrace Marshall is great. Now you got to still work some other guys in. I think you got to work guys in like Laviska Shenault and really try to implement them into the offense. Like a Shy, again, he's had his struggles this season, with drops and such, but he's still a guy I think that if given the opportunity can make something shake if given the ball. Him, Shenault, and Smith are two guys that they're gonna have to be more involved if they are able to take away your ability to run the football. And that Cincinnati defense, say what you want to say about them, the one thing they do well, they get after the quarterback. And our offensive line has been great, and Ike Ekwonu has been fantastic since the beginning of the season. I mean, I know everybody was kind of on him, but one thing he's done is he's stepped up his game immensely, and it's pretty much turned into one of the nice young tackles in this game. Now, can they protect overall? That's going to be the biggest question. Now, I will say the biggest thing for me is that, well, are you going to be able to run the football? That's my bit. Like that's gonna always be my thing. Like, can you run the football? Can you effectively hold your opponent out without them having to touch the ball a bevy of times? And that's gonna be the biggest question mark for this game this week. I don't really have any. There's not a whole lot of breakdown I'm gonna do just because I don't know what PJ Walker is gonna be from week to week. Now, PJ Walker last week, it went like this. He struggled for many stretches of that game last week, and he only had a few plays where here and there where they would make plays, which I appreciate a guy that can stay the course, and then eventually come out on the other side of it and make the play that need to be made towards the end. But can we get more consistency? You know what I'm saying? Because the offensive line had continuity, this would be a great test. This is a great test for them this week. Will that continuity pay off in a game like this against a front that can get after the quarterback? Can you run the football effectively when you're down to only really your one starting running back at this point? And for PJ Walker, can you find a way to distribute the ball out to other receivers and figure out how to put together a full offensive game plan where the balance is there like you had against Tampa Bay? These are all questions that I think that will be answered, but I will say this. I do have a very good feeling about the Panthers heading into this game, and I won't be surprised if we come out with a victory. But you ain't hearing no predictions from me. This has been Money in the Bank. I'm your host, Sean T. Stewart. Be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We love the love that we've received from you guys so far this season. We want to keep that up. And also, check out the Instagram, P1N_network and Panthers Nation with the 1, because you know what time it is. And the Twitter accounts as well. So with that being said, I'm out.